Kathy, you've got the floor.
Oh, okay. Do I scroll through the pictures or?
I've got to do it for you, Kathy. So
Okay.
I think you must just tell me
So-
when I can advance.
All right.
Yeah, I am recording it, so then I'll share it with everybody.
The pictures I've chosen this time are from two trips we took to Greenland in 2015, 2016, both times in September. And you can show the first slide, David. So on both trips, we were on this tall ship called the Rembrandt, which had begun as a herring vessel, herring fishing, and then it turned into a tourist ship. And we spent a week on it on each trip. And on the first trip, we were in Disco Bay on the west coast, and the second trip we were in Scoresby Sund on the east coast. And then at the end of the trip, we went to Onthehotseat, which has the largest glacier, most productive glacier in the world. And we spent 3 days on land there. So this is just to show you what the ship looked like. It held 33 passengers, but we were only 18 on board on purpose so that we had lots of room to move around. Next one, David. And this is, we did a hike to a tundra lake one day. And since it was September, we had fall colors there. Of course, there were no trees, but we had perfect reflections, and it was a beautiful sight, really very lovely. Next one, David.
Absolutely perfect. Beautiful.
Yes, and the water was only like that for maybe 15 minutes when we first arrived, and then the wind picked up and the reflections were all gone. So it's a matter of moving quickly.
Such lovely shapes of the rocks and the interesting rock composites. There must be lots of stories to tell about those rocks.
Yes, I'm sure there are. So next one, David. So this is in Onthehotseat, where, as I mentioned, there's the most productive glacier in the world. And we spent 3 days there and went out in a small fishing boat several times amongst the icebergs, usually in the morning, but sometimes in the afternoon as well. And this was an afternoon shot on a day with perfect calm, and it was fantastic, just so beautiful. Next one, David.
Sorry, I'm just got a quick check. Okay.
And I think this was the morning that we went out, again, very calm. And the little fishing boat was sort of moving around in amongst the icebergs. Of course, they had to be very careful because of all the ice underneath. But this was another beautiful iceberg and just fantastic experience. Next one, David.
Kathy, and if I may, because the next one, I know that Nina, who's a friend of mine in South Africa, she's going to go and see the Northern Lights. It'd be lovely if you could talk quite in detail about that, because I'm sure she'd enjoy learning a lot from you about that.
Well, it looks amazing. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel our trip because South Africans aren't allowed into Norway. So I'm not sure when I'm going to see them, but love your picture.
Oh, that's too bad. Trip was timed for September for a number of reasons, but one reason was the Northern Lights would likely be visible. And we saw them a number of nights, but often just photographed them from the deck of the ship, which had the disadvantage of being always in motion. And so the pictures weren't so clear. This particular night we went on shore and in the dark after dinner, and we were able to set up our tripods, and the lights were just fantastic all over. This shot is taken overhead, And it was quite an amazing experience. So as I recall, the settings were something like ISO 1600, 30 seconds, camera wide open, and probably a 16 to 35 lens. Of course, now with cameras that can do much higher ISO, you could probably take them faster. But this was, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. So my camera doesn't do well above 1600 ISO. Sorry, you had a question?
No, I said it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It looks like it's amazing, Kathy. Absolutely, it's just those. Looks like bursting with colors. And if I'm not, I mean, I've never seen this, and for me, it's as foreign as polar bears. Do you actually see the lights? Do they look like that to the naked eye?
No, they don't look quite like that to the naked eye. When they first start, you can often not see them at all, but if you put your camera, point the camera in the right direction, you can tell if they will show up on the sensor.
Okay.
When they're this bright, you can actually see them, and not quite the same though. You don't see all the range of colors that you get here.
Mm.
One other thing I should mention is that we, as I said, we were on shore for this. We had friends who did the same trip the next year, and they were not allowed off the boat at night because there were polar bears. And in fact, their time on shore was very limited. Didn't seem to be an issue when we were there, but I think because of global warming, the polar bears had moved south in search of food. And so there was a risk, and they just weren't going to let people off the boat. So we were very fortunate to be able to set up on shore.
And Kathy, was your white balance on auto, or did you drop it down to sort of 3200?
Auto, but I may have fiddled around with the colors in Lightroom. I probably did.
Hmm.
I can't remember how I processed it actually, but
Okay.
I don't think I did too much to it. I tend not to juice them up too much.
Hmm. And are those stars? It's stars there behind. It's incredible.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
So what you see with the faster shutter speed, you could probably capture more of the stars in the sky.
Mm.
30 seconds, you've got some motion.
Stunning.
Next one.
Okay. Just want to say, just welcome Deborah, because I don't know if she had the link, and hello Deborah, sorry.
Hi, yeah, no link.
Oh, no link. I just suddenly realized when I didn't see you there that there must be a reason. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
We've just been going with Kathy's pictures, and we're on.
I'm sorry I missed them.
And well, we can run through them later afterwards. I'll show them to you again.
Okay.
But we've shown 4 or 5 pictures, and these are from her trips. And that's the Northern Lights. Okay, let's carry on, Kathy.
Okay, so the next 3 are just details that I saw. I tend to do a lot of macro work or water reflection. So this was on a beach one morning early, and there were some little puddles, and we just stopped and photographed the ice shapes. And that's a little mollusk up there in the middle. Next one, David. And this is a reflection taken from a zodiac. We were on the East Coast at this point, and there is an island called Rhode Island or Red Island. And it was early morning, and so the red rock was reflecting in the water. And that's a little bit of sky down in the bottom left-hand corner. I actually like this picture so much. I have it printed and hanging on my wall.
It looks like a face. It's got 2 eyes and a mouth
Uh-huh.
and a nose. It's really cool.
Yeah, the screamer.
That's
Right.
really cool. And black hair on the side.
Yes.
Lovely. Oh, that
Next
is so cool. And hair too. It's really got it all. I love that.
And then this is another one that one day we had the sails on the boat up. Typically we use the engine, but once or twice during each trip, they put the sails up and then we got to photograph the boat. And so this is the sails reflected in the water with just some motion of the waves. We were in a Zodiac, just heading back to the ship when I took this.
That's the most incredible. It actually looks like there's almost oil on that water or something. It doesn't look.
I know it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
But it's just the motion of the water. And
It's absolutely stunning.
So
Have you printed that one, Kathy?
I'm sorry?
Did you print that one as well?
No, I don't have that one printed, although I think it might have been printed for something. I can't remember.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm just going to very quickly, just for Deborah's, I'm feeling bad about not sending Deborah the link. So I'm just going to give her a quick flash through from the top of the ship and then the reflections in the water. Beauty and nature, really, they're worth it a second look. Was this when you went with Franz Lanting, Kathy?
Yes.
Amazing.
And where was
So
this?
that-
Greenland?
In Greenland.
Yeah.
Both on the west coast and then a second trip on the east coast.
It's beautiful. And that's where I think you came into.
Yeah.
Right? Cool.
Yeah, gorgeous, really gorgeous.
Thank you.
Okay, so now Kristine, I didn't get a nice picture of you, Kristine, but that would have, I don't know what happened there, but I can see you there. You're gonna have to turn your speaker on because you're on now.
Sorry, yes, no, I was unmuting. I forgot to send you.
That's okay. And then you were supposed to be last week, Kristine. I'm not sure if I didn't send you the link either, Kristine, or whether you just were not able to make it to your busy life.
Okay.
Okay, so they're a mixture of your shots, Kristine, and you're going to tell
Okay,
us.
so you've done a mixture of them. So I'm very lucky that I get to spend a lot of time really in deep rural parts of Africa. And this is from the Gabra tribe, which is a nomadic and pastoral group that wanders between southern Ethiopia and northern Kenya. And this is in the Chalbi Desert, which is Kenya's northernmost and driest desert. It's hauntingly beautiful. And this little girl is beaded. So what that means, you can tell, is that she has already been sold to somebody. She's been sold to a man, but it doesn't mean he'll be abusive to her. It could be, but her parents may be very poor or whatever, but you can tell by her distinctive beads and her hair and so forth. You can see they don't have much in the way of water there. Each person gets about a cup of water a day for all their needs. The next one is, this is Pascal. This is on from what month? November. This is last month on Lake Kivu in Rwanda, outside of Siangugu or Kamembe. And I took a boat ride and came across a lot of fishermen. And he's an emergent fisherman. So he sells those little tiny fish to whomever. And our boat driver wanted to buy them. So I think it was about the equivalent of maybe 50 cents or something for those fish. And that's his brother and they were just wandering around in their little pirogue, a dugout canoe made of one tree, made of one tree stump. The next photograph is them approaching us with little Pascal, little Franz, that's Francois, there's Pascal in the front, little Pascal rowing towards us. Lake Kivu is very beautiful. It's clean, especially on the Rwandan side, because you're not allowed to throw trash anywhere. But by the afternoon, as it borders the Congo, the trash comes across. And there's actually a fence in the water to keep the Congolese out because it's right on the border with Bukavu, which there have been a lot of conflict in those areas over the last couple of decades. But this is very serene and very pretty, very clean and fresh tilapia. So it's lots of bird life. Has anybody ever been there?
No.
It's Rwanda's spoken on, people think of going to the gorillas. This was tremendous. I would highly recommend going there to drive. It's 8 hours for 250 Ks because you can't exceed the speed limit. You will get arrested. It is a police state, a benign one, but it is. And it's absolutely beautiful and it's a really interesting drive.
Where is this? Because I've been to northern Rwanda, which is amazing. Where about is this in Rwanda? So you start
on
in
Lake
Kigali
Kivu.
and then?
Okay, so you would drive south and west from Kigali
Okay.
to Lake Kivu, and then you would keep going south just to the border with Congo. So it used to be called
Okay.
Kiangugu, and now it's called Kamembe. But I had so many beautiful pictures from this hotel that I was staying at on the lake that I sent it, like put it on Facebook and said, "Where am I?" And people were like, the Italian lakes.
Oh, wow.
In the distance, you see red buildings. It does look like one of the lakes. It's very clean. It's very pretty, and lots of fishermen.
Mm.
And there are so many photographic opportunities. So I took I desaturated this. This is the Mandari tribe in South Sudan. This is one of the most horrific places I have ever seen. It's an internally displaced persons camp in Juba, built on a cemetery. So everybody lives around graves, and it's Christian graves. The graves are Christian graves, but the Mandari are a small tribe. South Sudan has 64. They're a cattle keeping tribe. They trade in cattle, and they were displaced about 20 years ago by the Civil War. Their normal territory is about in a place called Terekeka, which is about 100 Ks north of Juba, if you've been to South Sudan. And there are a couple of thousand people that live in the most appalling conditions you've ever seen. And they've been there for 20 years. So I had a long chat with the chief. You can tell the Mandari people by their unique scarification. And they, unlike if you're in a refugee camp, you get supported by the UN, because they're internally displaced within Juba and in a cemetery, they're on their own. They get very little support from the outside. Although when I was there, this was a couple of years ago now, they were getting vaccinations for measles, I think. So some NGO was coming in to give vaccinations. So, but I made it less colorful. I put a little color in it just because to me it was so stark. But if I had it just black and white, you couldn't really see that there was some vibrancy. And I mean, you can ask me questions if these, the Mandari do the really long, that's my horned cattle that you see.
Kristine, were you working there or were you just visiting?
No, I was working.
Maybe, I don't know if everybody knows what you do, but it's an interesting, maybe just to fill them in.
We distribute solar and wind-up radios and media players for mass education and information projects. And so I was in South Sudan talking to some fairly large organizations about creating a proper strategic response to the dire state of the population in South Sudan. They have only about 10% literacy in any language, and people lack information. There's very little infrastructure. It's one of the least developed countries in the world. I can't think of one that is least developed off the top of my head. And it's now basically a province of the Chinese. So the Chinese do business there, but they don't really contribute to development. That is completely run by the UN and its partner agencies, which isn't necessarily good. But I was trying to look at a way that radio could be used very strategically for education, for information, creating listening groups and so forth. But then COVID came along. So, that fell apart. a long time to, we put 265,000 radios in South Sudan prior to the referendum. And so when you see Juba back then to where it is now, it's unrecognizable.
I've got a question, if you don't mind. I love
Oh.
the way you use color in the picture. The blue bracelet that you've colored, like, is that something that, I mean, is she able to get that off? It doesn't look like it.
No, they probably not. I haven't colored it. I just desaturated it. So that's what it would have been. I'm not sure if it's painted bone or if it's just, it could be plastic. It's hard to, I'd have to look. All those clothes that you see would have been donated by a church group. The Mandari are Christian animists. So they have a church and they sometimes go, but they don't always have a pastor, but they've got animist beliefs as well. I mean, it's really fascinating. It's against the law to take photographs, but I did anyway. But you have to ask, I had to ask permission. Yeah. Okay. The next one is also the Gabra people. And this one is really hard because I was photographing straight into the sun. But it was so interesting. They're nomadic pastoralists. So these women, there'll be 500 pieces to this house. Okay, so they've moved recently. They're building the house. So wherever they were before, they would have taken the house down, the branches, the roots, but that's what the foundation is made of. Then they put cloth and skins over it. They take it down, put it exactly, they put it together in a certain way on camels. And then when they get to their new destination, they build it exactly as it was. They also have the door facing a particular direction for the winds. And inside they have a bed for the man and a bed for the woman. They're just like cut up so little snakes or rats or something wouldn't get on them. And then they've got kids' beds. They don't have water. So this is kind of creepy, but women clean themselves with smoke. They'll like sit on a fire of smoke, and that's how they'll like clean themselves and stuff. And the Gabra, I'm just trying to think. They're mainly Christian, but I'm not sure. They do circumcise, I think, women. I think they don't think they belong to anybody. You know, neither the Ethiopians nor the Kenyans really want them. They were so warm and so welcoming and felt ashamed because we'd been to visit them earlier. And then we went someplace else to where that other village was. And when we came back, I saw this. But the chief had said earlier, I feel so ashamed that I can't offer you any tea. We don't have any water. And it was so dry as we were talking, a goat died behind me. And then there was even a dead camel who had died of lack of water. So, you know, there's not much water around. I think there's been a little bit of rainfall since then. This was the middle of 2019, sorry. And then my final picture is just one I thought that was very pretty, of fishermen in Lake Kivu. These guys come out really, really early in the morning, and then they throw these nets. And I was just really lucky to have caught the net as they threw it. And I've taken that from the hotel patio, I think. I have some really lovely photographs of women coming up and buying things and how they trade. And it's just, and they swim in this water. But I just liked this one because I just caught it at the right time.
Thank you, Kristine. So I asked Kristine where she has her pictures, but she says she doesn't have them on the website. But your Facebook page is always pretty fun, Kristine, I've got to say it. And it's worth following Kristine because she does cool stuff all the time. And I think that's your Facebook name, Kristine Pearson, and you'll find her there. And Kristine, I'd love you maybe next time to tell the story about the wedding you went to, and because that was really very, very cool. And you were the mother to in a wedding. And anyway, that's another story, another day. Thank you so much, Kristine. You've got
That's a
such
pleasure.
Amazing, amazing,
was,
Kristine.
I'll just say that I was the mother of the groom to an orphaned boy who adopted me in 2003, who was the head of his household in Rwanda post-genocide, and he was raising 4 younger siblings. And so I was very privileged to be part of his wedding. Dave, I've just done the video of the dowry giving ceremony, so I'll send you the link once I can do it. But it was really wonderful, and that's why I was in Kamembe, was for the dowry giving and the civil ceremony.
Those were fantastic, Kristine. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
amazing, Kristine, amazing.
Okay, and now Deborah.
I don't know how I follow Kristine. I'm so moved by those images. It just really touched me. Anyway, so this is me in Antarctica, obviously. So this is a little carmine bee eater, super zoomed in, so it's not quite as sharp as I would have liked. But we were sitting on a cliff and he just flew in and proceeded to smack this bee on the side of this cliff. And so I managed to catch like the sand flying from his smacking it. So.
Can I ask you a question, Deborah?
Absolutely.
What camera did you use to take that picture? What lens did you use?
I'm pretty sure that was with the D500 and the 150 to 600 Tamron. I'd have to look to be sure, but
I keep reminding myself that when I don't get better pictures, and I think that you're shooting that with a lens that's an f4.5, and you've got, I mean, your pictures are amazing. I mean, as you'll see, but it's not with a $15,000 lens, and that's.
I know I can't afford a $15,000 lens. Although I did just switch over to the Canon mirrorless. I haven't had a chance to play with them, but I did just buy an R5 and an R6 and the 100 to 500 lens.
Yeah, it's a very good setup. I think people are really happy with that camera.
How big is that lens, Deborah? The 100 to 500?
It's let's see, maybe if I turn off the video, I can show it to you. Hang on.
Oh. Watch those elephants.
Yeah, I know. Hang on. All right, so hang on, I'm going to turn off the video so you can see. Hopefully that's gonna, oh no, that didn't work. I think I have to make it no. Well, let me see if I hold, can you, no, we can't.
I can stop the screen share. That will probably bring you up, and then you can have a look.
I can try and, yeah.
Your video needs to be, I'll switch you. Can you switch?
Yeah, hang on,
Hang on,
I need to change, maybe I need to change the background of my video.
We'll probably see it now.
We can see you now.
We can see you now.
Okay, but can you see, you can't see the camera though.
No.
Can you, how's that?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So that's not zoomed out. So with it zoomed out, it's, you can see by comparison with my head, maybe.
It looks like about the size of the old 100 to 400.
Yes, I think it's, I don't think it's much bigger than that.
Mhm.
Although, you know, again, I wasn't shooting Canon before, so I don't have a, you know, comparison because I was shooting Nikon.
I see.
So, And actually, I'm still shooting Nikon. I mean, I plan on taking that D500 and the 150 to 600 with me on trips if I ever get to go on a trip, so that I still have a little bit of extra reach, and also because the Canon is fairly slow. I mean, at 500, it's a 7.1 aperture. So the Tamron actually beats that in terms of aperture. So so I think I'm still going to bring the Nikon with me.
Thank you, Deborah. Cool.
But yeah, no, believe me, I would love to, you know, everyone says, oh, you've got to get, you know, a 2.8, 400. And, you know, wouldn't that just be fabulous? But I mean, it's a whole trip, and I think I'd rather take the trip than, you know, no, I mean, and the weight, to be honest with you, I think if someone came out with a lens like that, that weighed half as much for that price, I would probably go for it. But at my age and with my arthritis and whatever, it's all I can do to hold these. So,
well, you're getting great pictures. I mean, your shots look like they're taken with a 2.8, 400.
yeah, well, but it's you're looking at 1 in 10,000 probably. You don't see all the ones that make it that are on the, you know, the cutting room floor. So this was very fortuitous. Someone asked last week about a close-up of a tiger, so that's why I put it in, but I don't think he's here. Is he here? No, I don't think so. Anyway, this is
Okay.
this was very fortuitous. This tigress came up over the hill and was very close. I mean, this is virtually not cropped. I mean, I cropped it a little bit from the right-hand side, and she just gave this like little goofy look. So I kind of call this my goofy girl. And I think it's one of my favorite tigress pictures. And this was in Yellowstone. I was really hoping to see a wolf, but I didn't manage to. So this is actually a coyote. But if you don't look too closely at the face, you could kind of pretend it's a wolf. You know, kind of coming at us. So I mean, they're also just beautiful animals, especially in their dense winter coats like that. And I just like the motion with the paw up and the snow flying a little bit underneath. And so that's that. And this is in Alaska, Katmai. And you know, 2 cubs of the year. The entire 2 weeks that I was there, it was pouring rain. We had one day where the sun came out, and this was it. So fortunately, and the cubs, you know, the cubs didn't care one way or the other, but it was just nice to not have, you know, this dreary gray background to everything. So, and they're just so much fun to watch. I mean, I could have just stood there and watched forever. And then the interesting thing was that, so Mom obviously was there with them, and we were quite a distance away. Again, this is at, you know, the 600 on a crop camera. And for some reason, Mom just decided to come right at us and literally walked across the field, walked right up to our group, turned probably 3 meters before the group. And the cubs actually started to come closer, and the guide, you know, shushed them away because, you know, he was afraid, obviously, if one of them had suddenly yelped, we were in trouble. But I mean, I could have reached out and, you know, almost touched these cubs. So that was kind of cool too.
A lovely moment. Well done.
So this is sort of a horrible photograph, but again, a wonderful moment. This tigress climbed up into this cave with her 4 cubs. And I just happened to be like right there so that I could get them. And they were about to come down for water. I mean, I was so excited that they were going to come out and come down. And this BBC group came in on elephants and just right in front of the den. So that's what they're actually looking at. They're not, I know it looks like they're looking at us but they're actually looking at this BBC group coming in on the elephants. It really upset the mom, and she just pulled everything back further. And of course I also couldn't shoot through an elephant. So, so this was, yeah. But it just really kind of pissed me off because first of all, I don't think we should be riding elephants. And second of all, you know, I mean, I guess the BBC has to get their stuff, but you know, to just kind of march in front of everyone else that were in the vehicles and just sort of take over the whole thing, just anyway. But at least I got this shot.
Very cool.
So this is one of my favorite bird shots. This was actually in Kenya, and the lower bird, you know, as some of you may know, is actually a martial eagle who had killed a dik-dik and carried it up into this tree. And these ravens started dive bombing it to try and get it off the kill, I guess. And I just kept firing away until I finally managed. So this is not a composite. This is as shot. And I just managed to get one of these ravens starting to fly in. It's obviously much bigger because it's much closer to me than the eagle is. I mean, I'm sure all of you know that the raven's probably a quarter of the size of this eagle. But I just, the whole dynamic was just amazing. I mean, to see this eagle spread its wings to protect the kill, and you know, the stare, the evil stare, and but the ravens were really relentless. I mean, they didn't, what they ultimately did was they didn't scare it off the kill. It picked it up and flew away with it.
Cool.
And this one, I just kind of love this one. There was a huge, this is in Zambia, huge pack of wild dogs. There were probably, I don't know, 15 adults and 10 pups or something like that. And they had obviously just made a kill. They had come back. This is in like a riverbed, and you know, fed everybody, and it was starting to get hot. And they all dug into these little dugout places in the riverbed, I guess, you know, because it's cooler, and just flopped down, you know, like bellies full, and you know, and I just kind of love the expression, this, you know, and the blood on the face, and you know, just kind of pooped pup. And this is again another tiger, the request for closer tiger shots. So this is actually a cub that so there was a mother and again a few cubs, obviously older cubs than the previous ones. That I mean, it looks like it's sort of an artificial hole, because I think it is dug out by the government, but I mean that, you know, it's just in the middle of a field, and I think it's spring fed, and you know, as you know, tigers just love water. So in the heat of the day, I got one of those special passes and stayed the entire time. So they're in, you know, 40+ degree heat or whatever. I was very jealous of this tiger being in this water and cooling off.
Thank you, Deborah. Those are beautiful pictures. You really do have
Thank you.
a great empathy with animals. I think the way you've captured them, and they're all such character-filled pictures and wonderful stories. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you everybody for sharing your wonderful pictures. I've really enjoyed seeing them, been so different and so interesting, and great to see you. It's one of the things about COVID is I miss my friends so much, and people around the world who share our interests, and it's hard. So I think this evenings make it a little bit easier to communicate and see you guys. And yeah, I'll do another one. I think we'll do another one in the new year, and maybe we'll get you back and send some more, tell some more stories.
Yeah, no, this is life-saving for me because I'm still in protective isolation. So I'm going nowhere and don't see anybody. And this has been a hard week. I lost 3 cats this week. So it was great to be able to be here with you.
Great. I'm sorry about all your cats. That's too bad in a week. Okay. Well, I'm not going to share. I started showing a video at the beginning, but I'll put that on my website rather, because it's a little bit frivolous compared to what we've been doing. And I think that we will hopefully see you again soon. I see Melissa's just into the room, but I'm not even going to let her in because she's a bit late. So I'll say cheers to you guys all and wishing you all well and happiness, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah,
Thanks,
have a
David.
wonderful
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
holiday.
so much, David.
Have wonderful holiday season.
Great. Cheers.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.